Hello, good morning, students. So, in the previous class, we are discussing the phenomena of diffraction of light at a single slit, the types of diffraction, Fresnel's diffraction, and Fraunhofer diffraction. The diffraction pattern, what we get on the screen, consists of alternate bright and dark bands. All bright bands are not equally bright, and the width also not the same, means all the bright and dark bands are not equally spaced. So this is what the diffraction pattern the experimenter witnesses in the laboratory. The diffraction pattern consists of central bright band, first secondary maxima, second secondary maxima, and these dark bands are the first minima, second secondary minima, third secondary minima. So the diffraction pattern also consists of alternate bright and dark bands, but of unequal width. The width is not the same for all bright bands and dark bands. Whereas in Young's double slit experiment, the interference pattern consists of alternate bright and dark bands of same width, but here the bright and dark bands in the diffraction pattern are not of a same width. So graphically, uh, we can realize this particular fact that the width of the bands are not same. The intensity of the secondary maxima also goes on decreasing. This is the central maxima, first secondary maxima, second secondary maxima. This is the third secondary maxima. In between two successive consecutive maxima, there are minima. This is the first minima, second secondary minima, third secondary minima. So the first minimum on one side and the first minimum on the other side, this linear distance between the first minimum on either side is called linear width of a central maximum. And this linear width of central maximum beta is 2 times d lambda by a. 2 times d lambda by a, where d is the screen distance, lambda is the wavelength of light, a is the width of the slit, and the width of linear width of this central maximum is 2 times the width of a first secondary maxima. This width, suppose if it is a 6 millimeter and this width will be 3 millimeter, or the width of the central maxima is double the width of the first secondary maxima. So today we discuss the angular width of a central maxima as well as a linear width of a central maxima. So linear width of a central maxima. Here A and B, AB is the rectangular slit of width A, rectangular slit of width A, which is illuminated with a monochromatic light of wavelength lambda. A diffraction pattern is obtained on the screen consisting of alternate bright and dark bands, and this is the first minima on one side, first minima on the other side of a central maximum. X is the linear distance of the first minima from the center of the screen, and this x is the linear distance of the first minima from the center of the screen on the other side, where theta 1 is the angular position. Theta 1 is the angular position of the first minima on one side. Theta 1 is angular position of the first minimum on the other side. Small a is width of the slit. So this x plus x, that is a 2x. 2x is the linear width of the central maximum denoted by beta. So the linear width of central maximum is the distance between the first secondary minimum on the two sides of the center of the central maximum. This is the central maximum, first minimum on two sides of the central maximum, and this distance is the linear width of central maximum, that is beta equals to 2 times of x. X is d lambda by a, where x is d lambda by a. Since for first minima at a point P, we can write a sin theta equals to lambda. The path difference between the wavelets from A and B reaching to the point P, the path difference is 1 lambda. Then we can write a sin theta 1 equals to lambda, or theta 1 equals to lambda by a, theta 1 being small. It is a fraction of a degree. That's why sin theta 1 can simply be written as a theta 1 equals to lambda by a. Also tan theta 1 equals to x by d. Tan theta 1 is opposite side by adjacent side, x by d, or theta 1 equals to x by d. From these two equations 1 and 2, x by d equals to lambda by a, or x equals to d lambda by a. Therefore, the linear width of a central maximum, or the distance between the first secondary minimum on either side of the center of the screen, beta equals to 2x, and x being a d lambda by a, it is 2d lambda by a. Further, angular width of a central maximum. The angular width of a central maximum is the angular separation between the first minima on the two sides of the central maximum, that is a 2 theta 1 equals to 2 lambda by a, since theta 1 equals to lambda by a. So angular width of central maximum, it is 2 theta 1, which is a 2 lambda by a, since theta 1 is the ratio of wavelength of light to the width of the rectangular slit through which the diffraction phenomena of light takes place. Difference between interference and diffraction of light. As we have discussed, in interference, the two rectangular slits are illuminated with a light, or two coherent sources are required to achieve the phenomena of interference in the laboratory. The diffraction is achieved in the laboratory when a single narrow slit is illuminated with a monochromatic light. In interference pattern also there are alternate bright and dark bands. In diffraction pattern also there are alternate bright and dark bands obtained on the screen. So the first difference, interference is due to superposition of light waves from two coherent sources, whereas diffraction is due to superposition of secondary wavelets from different points of the same wavefront. Interference is superposition of wavefront coming from two coherent sources, whereas diffraction is superposition of secondary wavelets coming from the same wavefront. The second point of difference is, In interference, all bright fringes are of a same intensity. All bright fringes are of same intensity, or brightness of all the bright bands is the same. Whereas in a diffraction pattern, intensity of bright fringes or bands goes on decreasing as we move away from the center of the screen. In other words, the intensity of bright bands in a diffraction pattern goes on decreasing. The third point of a difference, the width of both bright and dark bands or fringes is the same in case of interference, whereas the width of fringes are never same in case of diffraction. The fourth point of difference, dark fringes are usually perfectly dark because the two coherent sources, the amplitudes of the waves coming from the two sources are same, then the dark fringes are completely dark, then there will be a good contrast between the bright fringes and the dark fringes. That's why dark fringes are usually perfectly dark, whereas in diffraction pattern dark fringes are not perfectly dark. The fifth point of difference is, fringes are large in number in case of interference, whereas in case of diffraction, fringes are very few in number. Further, validity of a ray optics. Ray optics is a branch of optics which deals with simple properties of light at optical instruments, assuming that light always travels along straight line. So validity of a ray optics. Geometrical optics is based on the assumption that the light travels always in straight lines, but due to diffraction of light, the linear width of the central maximum, that is beta is 2d lambda by a. The linear width of the central maximum beta or 2x increases with the distance of the screen from the slit. So the distance at which the diffraction spread of the beam of light is equal to the width of the slit is called Fresnel's distance, and it is denoted by ZF. So keenly observe, due to diffraction of light, due to bending phenomena of light around the sharp edges or the corners of a rectangular slit, the linear width of the central maximum beta equals to 2x or 2d lambda by a. That linear width of the central maximum increases with the distance of the screen from the slit. So that you can visualize from this particular diagram here. AB is the rectangular narrow single slit. Width of the slit is A, right? And this is the diffraction pattern obtained on the screen. The first minima is formed exactly opposite to A. First minima on the other side of the screen is formed exactly opposite to B. Then the linear width of this central maxima 2x is equals to the width of the slit A. If capital D is the distance of the screen from the single slit, if this capital D, that is a distance of the screen from the single slit, if it is increased, right, up to certain extent, what happens? The linear width of the central maximum will remain same as the width of the slit. In other words, due to diffraction, the there is no angular spread of light up to certain distance from the single slit, and that distance is called as a Fresnel's distance denoted by ZF. So here ZF is the Fresnel's distance. It is the distance of the screen, maximum distance of the screen from the single slit. Till that particular point, no angular spread of light takes place due to diffraction. Beyond this distance, if a screen is placed beyond the Fresnel distance, the spreading of light takes place due to diffraction of light at the corners of an obstacle or the rectangular slit. So this is the case. The screen is beyond the Fresnel's distance. The screen being beyond the Fresnel's distance, the angular spread or linear width of the central maxima increases. Here x plus x, that is 2x. 2x is too large compared to the width of the slit A. 2x, that is a linear width of the central maximum, is too large compared to the width of the slit A. So up to this particular distance, no spreading of light takes place due to diffraction. Beyond this, the light spreads out, the width of the central maximum increases. And this distance, maximum distance up to which the linear spread of the light doesn't take place due to diffraction, is called as Fresnel's distance. If the diffraction spread is small, then the ray optics is valid. In other words, diffraction spread is negligible, or width of the central maxima is equals to the width of the rectangular slit A, then ray optics is valid. In other words, the light always travels along straight line. That's why the spreading doesn't take place. But beyond some distance, the spreading of light takes place. Beyond the Fresnel's distance, the spreading of light takes place. So the diffraction spread x increases as d increases. When x equals to a, then d equals to the Fresnel's distance ZF we can write. Means till this distance, no spreading of light takes place. Therefore, a equals to, substituting for d as a ZF lambda by a, or Fresnel's distance ZF equals to a square by lambda. If you know these parameters, the width of the slit, the rectangular slit, wherein diffraction of light takes place, and lambda, the wavelength of light which illuminates the rectangular slit, we can calculate the Fresnel's distance, that is the distance beyond up to which no spreading of light takes place due to diffraction. If d is less than ZF, diffraction spread can be neglected and ray optics is valid. If d, the screen distance d, is much greater than ZF, the spreading due to diffraction is prominent and ray optics is not valid. Okay. Due to diffraction, if the light appears to spread such that the width of the central maximum is larger than the width of the rectangular slit, then ray optics is not valid and it is to be wave optics. Then the phenomena of diffraction is explained on the basis of wave optics, not the ray optics. So with this we conclude this theory part of wave optics. The resolving power of microscope and resolving power of a telescope, as well as the polarization of light, is this particular syllabus is been deleted from the regular course for this particular year in view of COVID-19. So in the next video we discuss the numerical sums or numerical problems pertaining to the wave optics, because very often there will be 5-mark numerical problems in the annual examination based on wave optics. So in the next video we discuss the number of numerical problems based on wave optics. Thank you.